we have to be critical with ourselves, because what we played in the first 45 minutes was not in no area just what we wanted to see and what we wanted to play.
Imagine if Manchester United actually listened to Ralf Rangnick instead of ghosting him like a bad Tinder date. Remember when he said the squad needed open-heart surgery? Well, it looked like he wasn't just ranting. What if United had kept him? Would the club have been rebuilt faster? Or would he still be stuck with the same mess? Let's dive into what could have been if Ralf stayed in charge. When Ralf Rangnick took the reins at Manchester United, he didn't hold back. He boldly claimed that the squad needed open-heart surgery, and that the problems ran way deeper than just a few tweaks here and there. Now let's be real. Those were some serious words, but were they spot on? When Ralf Rangnick took the reins at Manchester United, his track record as a manager wasn't exactly dazzling, but the idea that he'd also be a consultant afterwards sounded promising. Rangnick had a knack for spotting talent during his time with the RB clubs, Salzburg and Leipzig. He helped identify future stars like Erling Haaland, Timo Werner, Sadio Mane, and Dayot Upamecano. That kind of eye for talent is invaluable. As interim manager, Rangnick even suggested we look at Julian, Alvarez, and Enzo Fernandez, who were playing in South America and could have been signed for a mere £25 million each. Now their values have skyrocketed to at least triple that amount. Rangnick's extensive network and connections could have been a goldmine for scouting hidden gems, potentially saving United from splashing big unestablished players with hefty transfer fees and salaries, at least not on Antony. But instead of leveraging Rangnick's expertise, he was essentially shown the door. Whether that was due to Ten Hag's preferences or board decisions is still up in the air. Under Ten Hag, we saw a pattern in United's recruitment strategy. Most of the signings were players with previous links to Ten Hag, had Eredivisie experience, or were Dutch. Think Martinez, Nana, Weghorst, Eriksson, Amrabat, and Malaysia. The rare exceptions like Casemiro, Mount, and Højlund didn't quite break the mold. The scouting and recruitment under Ten Hag have been lackluster, largely sticking to his comfort zone rather than casting a wider net for talent. Rangnick's presence as a consultant could have pushed for a broader scouting approach, potentially shaking things up and addressing some of the persistent issues. And let's not forget about the lingering players from the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, like Maguire, McTominay, and Van de Beek. With Rangnick as a consultant, there might have been more pressure to move these players out and truly transform the squad. In essence, keeping Rangnick could have brought a fresh perspective to the recruitment strategy and helped tackle some of the deep-rooted issues at United. Instead, they were left wondering how things might have played out differently if he'd stayed and had a more significant role in shaping the club's future. Rangnick's departure meant that some crucial recommendations fell by the wayside. He had also identified players like Nkunku, Guardiola, and Luis Diaz as potential game changers. Fast forward, and those players are now stars for rival clubs. Guardiola is solidifying City's defense. Diaz is thriving at Liverpool, and Nkunku is making waves elsewhere. United's failure to act on Rangnick's advice is a major regret, especially when you consider the significant cash splashed on players like Antony, who haven't exactly been game changers. Meanwhile, key positions, especially central defense, remained poorly addressed. Erik ten Hag's current struggles highlight just how prescient Rangnick's critiques were. It's clear that Rangnick's warnings about United's deep-rooted problems weren't just hot air. They were spot on. In hindsight, Rangnick's vision for Manchester United might have saved the club a lot of heartache. Instead, his early exit left fans wondering what might have been if his recommendations had been taken seriously, and if he had been given more time to implement his ideas. Rangnick's tenure at United started off with a bang, showing off his high-intensity pressing style in a game against Crystal Palace. Fans were pumped, thinking this was the change they needed. But as the season wore on, things started to unravel. Rangnick struggled to implement his ideas and deal with the squad's fitness issues. The chaotic schedule and a COVID-19 outbreak didn't help either. By the end of his run, his win rate was a dismal 38%, making him one of the least successful managers in United's history. In just 6 months, he managed to win only 11 of his 29 matches, and some heavy defeats to City, Liverpool, and Brighton. Ronaldo wasn't impressed, famously dismissing Rangnick with,
"He's not even a coach. This is something that nobody understands."
His time was marked by tactical struggles as he tried to implement his preferred 4-2-2-2 formation only to revert back to the 4-2-3-1 system that the team seemed to know best. This lack of flexibility was glaringly evident when Erik ten Hag took over. Ten Hag's attempts to use different formations like 4-3-3 also fell short, forcing him to stick with 4-2-3-1 because, let's be honest, the squad just couldn't adapt. Meanwhile, across town, City's tactical diversity became a hallmark of their success. They switched between formations like it was a walk in the park, showing how adaptable players can be when coached effectively. United, on the other hand, seemed stuck in a tactical rut. Despite all this, Rangnick's vision of Rangnickball is still alive and kicking with Austria. Despite the rough patch at Old Trafford, Rangnick didn't let that derail his career. He took over as Austria's national team coach in April 2022, and guess what? He's been killing it. Austria, which had missed out on the World Cup in Qatar, went cruising through Euro 2024 and reached the round of 16. He led Austria to become one of the tournament's biggest surprises. They topped a challenging group that included France and the Netherlands. Not too shabby for the guy who was seen as a failure just a couple of years ago. Rangnick's approach, known as the gegenpressing or counter-pressing, has had a massive impact on modern football. It's influenced top coaches like Jurgen Klopp and Thomas Tuchel. With Austria, Rangnick's tactics were on full display. Despite an unlucky 1-0 loss to France in their opening game, Austria bounced back with a convincing 3-1 win over Poland and a thrilling 3-2 victory against the Netherlands. The performance against Poland was a textbook example of Rangnick's style. High pressing, quick transitions, and precise passing. This wasn't the drab football seen during his stint at United. Austria's aggressive play and solid defense saw them advance to the knockout stages where they faced Turkey. So what if Rangnick had stuck around at United? Well, his stint was cut short when Ten Hag came in. Rangnick's big claim was that Manchester United needed a complete overhaul. He wasn't just talking about a few new signings or some fancy tactics. He was talking about a full-on rebuild. Fast forward to today, Ten Hag admitted Rangnick was absolutely right. The job has been a complex, challenging operation. It's like Rangnick had a crystal ball and saw exactly what United needed. Ten Hag's been honest about Rangnick's critique, admitting that Rangnick was absolutely right about the scale of the task at hand. Ten Hag's been working hard to address those issues, but it's a complex job. The club's been making some serious changes. New faces in the boardroom, a massive £50 million investment in the training ground, and fresh talent like Joshua Zirkzee, Mathis de Ligt, and Lenny Yoro joining the squad. Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in with a 27.7% stake in the club. Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, and Christopher Vivell all landed new roles. If Rangnick had stayed at United, would the club be in a better place now? It's hard to say. He faced a lot of challenges from a squad that didn't quite buy into his methods to a rapidly changing environment. But with his success in Austria, it's clear that his approach works when given the right time and resources. As United continues to rebuild, it's worth pondering how things might have been different if Rangnick had been given a longer leash. Would the open heart surgery have been completed faster, or would the club still be struggling with the same issues? Despite a challenging 2023-24 season, Erik ten Hag is still at the helm, and it looks like the Manchester United board is committed to giving him the time he needs to do the open heart surgery. A thorough review of the season was conducted with potential replacements like Thomas Tuchel, Roberto Di Zerbi, Mauricio Pochettino, Thomas Frank, and Kieran McKenna being considered. However, the decision was made to stick with Ten Hag, influenced by United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe. The season was a tough one for United, with a record low Premier League finish of 8th place, marking their worst position in 34 years. For the first time since 1989-90, the club ended a campaign with a negative goal difference. Defensively, things were even worse, conceding 58 goals, which was the highest since 1978-79. They were outperformed by David Moyes' West Ham and the 3 relegated teams in terms of expected goals conceded. In fact, United even allowed more shots than Derby County's historically poor 2008 season. The Champions League wasn't any better. United finished bottom of their group, conceding a record 15 goals for a Premier League team at that stage. Offensively, they were also lacking, with a dismal 2-0 loss at West Ham, marking the first time since 1992 that United failed to score in 4 consecutive matches. The season saw some record lows, including Alex Iwobi of Fulham scoring the latest winning goal by an away team at Old Trafford in Premier League history. They even lost a match against Chelsea in April despite leading in the 100th minute, ending with a 4-3 defeat. Adding to the woes, United suffered 9 defeats at Old Trafford, the highest number since the 1973-74 season when they were relegated. Despite all this, Ten Hag managed to secure 2 trophies in his first 2 seasons, a feat that includes winning the EFL Cup and reaching another FA Cup final. As the club continues to navigate through this rough patch, the road ahead might be long, but the hope is that with patience and the right adjustments, the glory days might be back in sight for Manchester United. Rangnick's critiques might be hitting home now, but Ten Hag's still in the game, fighting to turn things around. Will United rise again or continue the struggle? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. We'll catch you in the next video.